The sea around Patmos never slept. Day and night, waves struck the rocks of the island, wearing them down grain by grain. The wind carried salt and the cries of seabirds, and there was little shelter from the sun or the cold. Patmos was not a place people chose, it was a place people were sent. John had not always lived on an island of stone. Once, long ago, he had walked dusty roads in Galilee. He had stood among crowds listening to a young teacher speak of lilies, sparrows, mercy, and a kingdom not built with swords. He had leaned close at supper, had run to an empty tomb, had watched his friends scatter in fear, and then gather again in hope. Those memories were old now, worn smooth like the stones beneath his feet. Rome called John a criminal. John called himself a witness. They had taken him from the cities and churches of Asia Minor and brought him here to Patmos to silence his voice. Instead, they gave him a place where the world grew quiet enough for him to listen.
John was old. His hair had thinned, his hands trembled when he held his tools. He worked where he could, prayed where he must, and waited. He did not know what he was waiting for, only that his life had always been shaped by waiting. Waiting for the Messiah, waiting for courage, waiting for the Spirit. One morning, as the sun rose pale over the sea, John climbed to a rocky height. It was the Lord's Day, the day when he remembered the risen Christ. He closed his eyes, letting the wind pass over him, and began to pray. And then the world changed. At first it was a sound, clear, strong, like a trumpet cutting through the air. John turned, his heart pounding. The voice spoke his name, not gently, but with authority that shook his bones. "Write what you see." John opened his eyes, and the island of Patmos faded like a shadow at dusk. Before him stood a figure brighter than the sun, yet sharp as lightning. The figure's eyes burned like fire, his voice like rushing waters, his robe glowing with impossible light. John fell to the ground, certain he was dying. But the figure touched him. "Do not be afraid," the voice said. "I am the first and the last. I was dead, and now I am alive forever." John wept. He knew that voice. The risen Christ stood among 7 golden lampstands, symbols of the churches John loved. Communities struggling under pressure, fear, and compromise. Christ spoke words of warning and comfort, praise and correction. He knew their suffering. He had not abandoned them. Then the vision deepened. A door opened in heaven, and John was drawn upward, beyond the world he knew. He saw a throne surrounded by light and living creatures, elders casting down their crowns. All creation sang, not in fear, but in awe. "Holy, holy, holy!" The song shook the universe. John saw a scroll sealed with 7 seals containing the fate of the world. No one could open it, no one, until the Lamb appeared. Not a roaring beast, but a lamb bearing wounds. Power, John realized, did not come from violence, but from sacrifice. As the seals were opened, the world trembled. He saw conquest and war, famine and death, the 4 horsemen riding across history. He saw martyrs crying out for justice, not vengeance. He saw the earth shaken, stars falling, the sky rolled back like a scroll. These were not neat predictions. They were truth painted in symbols, showing the cost of evil and the endurance of faith. John's heart ached. He had seen these things already in his lifetime. Empires rising, friends dying, hope tested. The vision was not new suffering, but suffering revealed. Then came the beasts. One rose from the sea, crowned and terrifying, demanding loyalty. Another rose from the earth, deceiving the people, teaching them to worship power. John recognized them without names: empire, oppression, lies dressed as truth. He saw how easily people traded their souls for safety, comfort, or control. But even here, evil did not reign forever. A woman clothed with the sun appeared, pursued by a dragon, yet protected by God. The dragon raged, knowing his time was short. John understood then, evil is loud not because it is strong, but because it is afraid. The visions grew darker before they grew bright. Cities fell. Babylon, symbol of greed and corruption, collapsed under its own weight. Kings wept over lost wealth. Merchants mourned profit more than people. Heaven, however, rejoiced, not because of destruction, but because injustice had ended. Then John saw what he had been waiting for all his life: a new heaven, a new earth. The sea, source of chaos and fear, was gone. A city descended, radiant, prepared like a bride. God dwelled not in distant temples but with the people. There was no more death, no more mourning, no more pain. The voice spoke again, "Behold, I am making all things new." John fell silent. How could words contain this? John found himself once more on Patmos, the wind in his ears, the sea before his eyes. He wrote to churches who were tired, afraid, tempted to give up or blend in. He did not write to scare them. He wrote to strengthen them. He reminded them that Rome was not eternal. Violence was not victorious. Evil was loud, but temporary. Faithfulness mattered. Love endured. Hope was justified. When John finished, he sealed the words with a promise. "Blessed are those who keep what is written in this book." John did not know how long he would live after Patmos. Tradition says he died peacefully, an old man, after returning from exile. But that was no longer important. He had seen the end, and it was not darkness. It was light.